If only there were more oysters. Maybe fourth-generation seafood wholesaler Darlene Kimball wouldn't need to pray so much.
I pray a lot, you know. Matter of fact, my Bible's on my desk now.
Maybe the big boats, the dredgers, could tap the bountiful beds instead of sitting idle in the harbor.
I get angry, but I shouldn't get angry. I should just kind of just overlook it, but it's hard to overlook. It hurts.
Maybe one day Kimball will get the money she says BP owes her. The massive oil spill decimated her business.
I look at BP for not looking or thinking this out thoroughly on who and how they should pay.
As tens of thousands still wait for their share of the $20 billion BP has set aside for claims, hundreds of millions of dollars in BP money has been paid to governments in the region. An AP investigation found some of that cash has been spent in dubious ways. Among the findings, in Lafourche Parish, Louisiana, officials used BP money to buy an iPad and a laptop computer. The parish president said she needed the iPad during the crisis to communicate with staff and other officials. In Biloxi, Mississippi, BP money paid for a fleet of new SUVs, including a 2011 Chevy Tahoe, to replace the mayor's 2006 model. A city spokesperson told AP the mayor uses the vehicle to travel to meetings about the spill and gauge the city's response. Millions of dollars even made it all the way to South Florida, which never saw oil from BP's well.
I don't understand it. I never could figure out the logic in it.
Louis SKRMETTA owns Ship Island Excursions, a Gulfport-based ferry boat operation that brings thousands of day trippers to a national park and recreation area about 10 miles offshore. The 85-year-old business, which barely survived Katrina, hasn't received any money from its BP claim, even though the spill virtually shut them down. As for the government payments...
Now, looking back in retrospect, it was a way to win over politicians, to win over the media.
And it's not just those working on or near the water who say they're still waiting for the BP money they deserve.
This process was wrought with a lot of bouts of depression.
Just before the spill, John FRALEIGH inked a $300,000 deal to provide erosion control services at the site of a planned industrial park. The site was being built for two major offshore oil service companies. 14 days after the spill, the contract was canceled. FRALEIGH hasn't had another contract since.
You don't hear many of the local government agencies rattling their sabers much for the local people, do you?
He's received about 10% of what he says BP owes him. His home is on the verge of foreclosure. Work trucks on the verge of repossession.
We'll make you whole again, I believe is their keynote, that we would be made whole again. They made us a whole. Whole again, not even close.
While governments cash in 1 year after the spill, so many others are still waiting to find out if they'll ever be made whole. Jason BRONIS, Associated Press, Gulfport, Mississippi.